Hey guys, it's CURSED. Hello and welcome to the movie version of our Zero to Hero series, starring our little hairy mistress, Pawn Order. Now, I decided to simply put all of the single videos together to bring you to the easy access series you've all been waiting for. This simply means you got something to watch while you are stuck in solo shuffle queues, LFG simulator, or if you simply level up a new character without having to find the next episodes manually.
Thank God.
So without any further ado, the rules, how it started, and how this everlasting hellfire of a series turned out in the end, you will see in a moment. With that being said, make sure to get comfy, grab a drink, and enjoy. Hey guys, it's CURSED. Oh boy, was that a reveal video, huh? If you haven't checked the spec reveal out yet, make sure to do that now, as it was hilariously fun to make. If you have seen it, then welcome to the official start of the Zero to Hero Healer Edition in the War Within. The star of this series will be no other than the almost 3.5k feral main during Dragonflight. The fairy with many names, such as the most ferocious bite, the one that puts the rip in rip, the girth warden, Pawn Order baby. The red-eyed menace has returned with one specific change in attitude. Instead of shredding shits to pieces, we apply heals. And while those tick, we are shredding shits to pieces. Hashtag character development. Now, with that being said, let's dive right into our starting episode, in which I will show you everything that I have done in an attempt to get to item level 600 ASAP, or well, at least like 590, so I can confidently start doing Mythic Plus. Speaking of, since the season is in full effect, we're gonna dip our furry toes into some keys today, to, you know, get a feel for things. So if that sounds like an episode you want to get extra comfy for, as the nostalgia is strong within this one, well then,
Try to relax your anus.
and also like and subscribe, because God knows, ever since I started to support my favorite tubers, mine is relaxed non-stop. Alrighty, so let's start in the beginning. Yeah, wells. This bad boy got leveled mostly through gathering, hence why the gear is pretty much how I left Dragonflight. And while I just randomly select some talents that I think might be good, most importantly, the talents that are required to do some scratching in between healing, let's talk about the rules of this challenge, as there are some changes compared to the Red Paladin. So first thing out of the way, the guild rule stays. I won't get tired to advocate towards guilds, since this is a multiplayer game in the end and having a community to potentially play with is key. With that being said, I obviously won't join some 6 out of 8 mythic guild that boosts my ass to the raid or even keys, don't you worry. Besides that, I will limit my gold even further than on the Paladin. Since this character used to be my gathering bot, I had some solid cash on it, but because it's kinda meh, if I can just craft away without having to pay attention to the budget, we will lower this. I lowered it to 50k first and eventually even went down to 30k, which I will regret a lot sooner than I expected. Furthermore, because we do actually now have a main with the last series being finished, there's obviously no Raid.io connection happening. In fact, I didn't update my Raid.io ever since my dad left, and boy, it's been a minute. Besides that, another no-brainer is obviously the rule to not use the friend list to any extent. Not once. Very important rule, as this is supposed to be a solo adventure for the most part. And to add some extra spice, the last actual rule for this one is to only apply to strangers' keys. Playing my own key will not happening. We fully embrace the LFG queue life, as it can't be as bad as DPS. Famous last words. Alright, and there's the goal. Because playing arguably the most unpleasant healer for the current season isn't enough, we are going to up the ante a little bit. Not only will we fully experience every damn dungeon on the time plus 10 key, we will also put an extra goal in that needs me to eventually time a plus 12 key as well.
Are you stupid or something?
I mean, those full-blown nerds do plus 17 keys. How hard can it be to do a 12 with randoms on the internet? Am I right? Now then, with all the important informations out of the way, our goal for this episode is very simple. Get good, and well, get gear to charge ass first into LFR to eventually snipe some items. But with the current 20th anniversary update being live, I don't even know what to do first. Technically, I could just do time walk in order to grab some easy items. However, those won't get me far, as the item level is not that solid. So instead, I'm all about doing those weekly events. And just because I'm a full-blown Giga degen, I won't buy gear from the auction house just to get a feeling for the unnecessary pain that could become apparent very quick. However, added with the mentioned event, there is a new crate. That one will grant a champ piece from the new time walking raid when completed. And after that, you get vet raid items instead. So that's the one to keep an eye on. And my first goal was to get the 5 dungeons done in order for the mentioned champ piece. But that was kind of a wild idea. You see, apparently, I get shafted in here. A lot. Or to be more specific, everybody did. I don't know what the scaling in here was, but boy did this boss hand out one-shots like Oprah hands out cars. What a phenomenal first dungeon experience this turned out to be, man. Whew, fun, fun, fun. So yeah, people dipped and so did I. Cool. Because of the lever buster I shamefully wore for now, I decided to hunt down different items instead. PvP items. But before you say,
I'm leaving.
let me explain. Bloody tokens are a currency that Blizzard implemented in a desperate attempt to save open world PvP. So desperate in fact, that you don't even need to do PvP. Turning on war mode is enough. For every world quest you do, you receive 100 tokens. Why is this important? Because you can buy upgradable veteran items with these tokens, and just to butter my biscuit, pause, you can even turn those items into tier set as well, just in case you get very unlucky with items early on. However, I only did this to prepare the final gearing, cause once the lever buster was gone, time walking was on the table again. I got that mines again. Cool? Huh, why is this so easy now? I mean, this just means I blame the other tank for the first run. I like that. What I also like is to show you what I've gotten from the quest for the 5 time walking dungeons, but my ADHD having ass found something more exciting. The BRD time walk run, in fact, does not have an item level requirement. And it's even funnier, you can also queue this on a low level character, which gets you some really funny interactions. Like our fully green geared level 55 survival hunter blasting the damn raid boss in 2 damn seconds. And do you want to know what I gotten from the entire raid? Well then close your eyes. Yeah, I got a full bag of chocolate chip nothing. Well, 2 warbound items, but come on man. I also did the world boss, but apparently I got looped up by Diddy's oil bottles, as loot was freaking slippy to say the least. So, coming full circle to what I said earlier, guaranteed items, blood tokens, mark my words. Let me quickly replace my shoulder slot with a 100 item level upgrade. Yet, now the fun begins. Item level is sufficient to get into LFR, just like that. So I quickly snagged myself a raid build from Icy Veins, cause I got absolutely no idea on what to do anyways. And let's pretend to do stuff, when in reality, I'm just here for the juice. But no damn tier set even dropped. This game is so freaking ass, man. I can't even... Oh damn, is that a headpiece? Let me hold that real quick. Now, what really annoyed me in this one is that I didn't know what I was doing. With this many people, Restore felt super useless, as I was just using Rejuvenation or Regrowth on people, but nothing happened. If you played Rdruid in raids, let me know if it's more fun in smaller parties. Now, besides the headpiece that I can turn into a tier set later on, I didn't get shit. At all. Nothing. And I was so pissed that I just rolled a freaking 100 on the Spymaster's web. Wait, what? Never thought I'd see the day of me getting something useful. For those of you that don't know, this trinket is quite insane. While in combat, you get stacks of intellect for free, and every 20 seconds, you can technically use all those stacks to get even more int for 20 seconds. Now, would I personally say that this would make a lot more sense to have as a DPS, because healers usually do not need shitloads of int in such a short time frame? Sure. Did I care? No. Would I use it every time before I go into cat form to convoke the ever-living hell out of everything? You damn right I will. Also didn't really feel bad, since it's LFR and half of the people in here roll on shit they try to sell anyways. So far, we did LFR, both Palace and BRD, grabbed 2 vet pieces from the weekly quest, yoinked ourselves some cheap hands from the BRD weekly kill quest, and prepped some bloody tokens to eventually buy items for slots we didn't get. But we ain't done. We got a fancy haste verse ring, which is pretty good if you believe the top rate IO degens, and we got plenty of sparks. So, let's craft, is what I would love to say, but I had 2 major issues. The first one was, I was damn broke. Like I said, I started with 50k for the challenge, but lowered it to 30, and I pretty much needed all of that to buy the mats for a weapon. The second problem was the missing crests. Luckily, I know a good way of just getting one with the little time investment of around 10 minutes. Our Chance to Strike, a quest that will show up on every character as long as you complete the storyline once on your account, will require you to go to the Spiderland, kill some stuff, rescue some Muppets, and experience the first ever raid boss simulator with some bot friends. Even though it's stupidly easy and it's not even close to what the actual boss fight is, I think this is a very cool idea to implement. More of that. Crest is there, but since I'm a broke little bitch, get it? Because I'm a wolf? We need gold. So herbing and mining will be required to make some quick cash. Bro, only 14k for 30 minutes? What happened, man? Damn, 619 with Ascension, let's send it. And when I say that, I mean delves. The first proper max item level group content awaits, as I was pretty interested if my gear upgrades are showing, or if the lack of HPS output was actually just me being ass. Mom, look, I'm doing it. Man, I can't wait for the first delve champ item. Surely it's an upgrade and... Bro, for real? Party stayed together, so we did another delve, so you best believe this time I got an action.
God have mercy upon us.
Alright, fuck that. Let's do keys. My final item upgrades were a chest, leg and boot piece from the bloody tokens, because I told you, guaranteed items are the best. 590 item level, and so we stepped foot into a +2 Arakara. I was excited. I was ready. Ready to heal my party until there's nothing left to heal. What I wasn't ready for, however, was the affix. Boy, did I forget about the affix. Now, let's talk about it. Since either fortified or tyrannical, depending on the week, are applied at +4, we only got one thing to care about. Saladot's bargain. 1 out of 4 versions every week, and in this week, Void Mommy herself will drop 10 orbs in the close proximity of each other that we need to deal with by either using a form of CC, like stun or pushbacks, just to name a few, or as an alternative, kicking their cast, as well as purging them will do the trick. Though a mass CC is by far the easiest way, and luckily a Druid has a perfect solution for that. In-cap roar. 30 seconds cooldown, quite a big range, always up when the boss spawn, absolutely made for this affix. Why do I tell you this? Cause I didn't skill it. Fantastic start. But hey, it's a +2. What can go wrong? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. But hey, then deeps though. Now here and there we added some extra packs that felt like a test from the tank towards me. And the Lord be my witness, I failed. Some of them. Quite bad. Bam. All of the stuff I learned during LFR didn't help me one bit. Spamming regrowth ain't gonna cut it, so I'ma have to get creative at some point. But as usual, since it's the first episode, don't try to dumpster load every information onto me for now. Let me figure it out a little bit and we can talk about it the next episode. Now, the second boss gave me some troubles. A chain of mess ups that led not only to half of my party's demise, but also mine. As I tried to catch up to the healing so bad, I stood in the stuff that was ticking us down in the first place. I forgot how utterly focused I am on the health bars of my party instead of focusing on preventing damage on myself. Luckily, a Blood Decay will just solo kill everything on this level, or I guess any level, and so the final boss was the last hurdle. Here, I really had the memory of my early days in this expansion, in which I had a Rdruid heal in my party that cost about 5 wipes just because he used Shapeshift too much. You see, whenever you rooted in those little blobs to prevent a painful and instant ending, Shapeshifting will free you from it. Which means, if you run into the puddle as a cat and then leave the form to heal, GG. Luckily, I remembered that, and so no deaths for your boy on this one. Yet overall, not too bad. So let's increase the difficulty at least a little bit to ensure a hero item in the vault. Oh, that's just great. Hey guys, it's Kusi. Welcome back to the second episode of me coping about the durability of my sanity, as absolutely no one uses the spells to make my life any easier. In this 0 to hero, I'm a tree, I'm a tree, I'm a sad tree. In the last episode, we started this journey that goes far beyond Keystone Hero itself. The goal is clear and probably impossible for me to achieve, as we try to get every damn dungeon on a +10 timed, as well as potentially aiming for a +12 key to finish me off.
Naughty, naughty, you teasing me?
To finish this series off. English isn't my first language, man, pardon me. I showed you what I did to grab myself some free and easy items to quickly get up to a formidable 590 item level in order to start keys, which ended in a miss that I didn't want to talk about anymore. But we will go over what happened there today. And so this episode starts the same way the last ended, face down in the dirt, praying for teammates that for once have a firm grip on balls. With that being said, if this sounds like an episode you want to take a quick moment to appreciate your DPS life, as healer do in fact struggle just a little bit more, use kick, you piece of shit, and make sure to leave a like, as it really helps me coping and hoping for the day that healing will be more fun. And also subscribe, because I was not aware that the most annoying healer affix in this world will be up so quickly in this series, just for your entertainment. Use the spell, you piece of shit. Alright, so after getting our hairy feet wet in Arakara 2 to start the series proper, I decided to at least do a +3 key in order to stack up hero tracks in the vault. Yes, doing +4 would have been smarter for the crests, but +4 also means fortified as part of the equation. So I gotten into a Mist 3, sounds good, should be an easy one. In fact, it was so easy that we arrived on Mist Quarter with 0 deaths, clean sheet. But the wonky stuff started to happen. For example, killing the wrong mirror which ends in a big explosion, or not dodging the balls. Or killing the wrong ad even though your healer is telling you which one to go for. Or tank not kicking the cast that only he can kick. So we pretty much died to every possible thing this boss had to offer. Let me say this again, arriving on the boss with a clean sheet. so clean, we probably still had time to finish this without any further mess-ups. Shit's rough out here, man. Stonevolt was next on the list, and at this point I was streaming my progress. But Kusi, where could I find you stream? Oh, great question, I'm glad you asked. Twitch.tv/KusiSlayer, link down below. How about you follow for free and hang out with us every now and then? Sorry for the cheeky self-plug. So yeah, Stonevolt. One that scares me as a healer. For one, there's a dispo on the first boss that the healer has the ability to min-max, but more on that later. The double boss that dishes out so much damage if kicks aren't used, and a Void Malphite that drops little crystals for a party-wide AoE that can stack and instantly wipe the party if not played correctly. Now that I think of it, every boss in this dungeon has some sort of mechanic where DPS decide the incoming damage. That's just great. But like I said, more on this later as we return with a higher key level soon. So let's talk about Arakara instead. Our tank decided to do a big pull on the first big ad, which is fair considering it's a +3 and there's no fortified. But then the fear went through. And while our tank just gave us the equivalent of the question mark spam in League of Legends, I did some review and saw that he, in fact, did have his kick up. So if you wonder why the fear went through, it's because he didn't kick it. Yet the fun stuff started on the first boss. Besides our tank not being bothered to move the boss just a little bit, we also had 2 people dying to the swirlies. Unfortunate. Oh, they died again, on the first swirly. Not sure if that's still unfortunate. I think we wiped 3 times and had 1 reset. At least I don't need to blame myself for this one. I did a few more dungeons after in an attempt to at least get 2 hero slots in the vault. However, I forgot to record the first 2. I know. I'm getting old, man. You didn't miss much though, besides some extremely annoying, overconfident prot paladin that ensured everything is okay whenever he messed up, but called everybody else a troll if they did an oopsie. What I did record though, luckily, was my first attempt at a +4. Why is this bigger? 2 reasons. First is that +4 now drops the rune crest that I need to eventually craft myself 619 item level. The second is that besides the weekly Salatat's bargain affix, we also now deal with fortified, meaning every trash mob HP and damage is buffed by 20%. But hey, it's a +4, surely this won't be as impactful. Okay, maybe it is. When I was looking at the comp, I wasn't too stressed as I can just play the Ascension affix myself. Bloodlust is missing, but we got 4 people who can CR, which is arguably even better at this key range. The most common issue we had there was a lack of kicks. I mean, technically we had them, they just didn't get used. I got my ass 2-tapped by them Silkslingers, and so did many others. Quite annoying to say the least. Yet we did manage to get past them, which got me a very quick understanding on how 20% more trash damage feels. Whenever there's a big AoE going, things go rough. And when playing the Herald mob in here, kicking is even more important. That thing was crushing me so hard to a point that if you get hit by 2 abilities in a row, you are cooked.
Oh, he did!
But again, I can see the cast coming my way. We got 3 kicks up. Guess whose kick isn't up to prevent his own death? For real, please guys, use kicks. As a DPS, you have very little responsibility. The only one you have is prevent damage incoming. Kicking absolutely does that. And if you're melee, you can just kick off the global cooldown. Do that. Just do it! At this point I was more or less amazed that we stayed in this. 15 deaths on the first boss. 16 deaths on the first boss. And that was almost something to be proud of at this point.
No?
The trash towards the second boss went pretty tame. And you wanna know why? Cause there's nothing to kick. However, we do need some kicking on those little shitheads on our way to the third boss. For the third time, I asked them to use their kicks because so far at least 20 of our deaths could have been prevented. And so naturally, of course, the guy with the lowest amount of kicks just dips the party. That man kicked 3 spells throughout the entire dungeon and then had the balls to just leave the key. His own key. Zack Andy on duty here. But I wasn't done with pain. So +3 threats it is. And we got our tank back. The one that power spammed his Avenger shield for max amount of kicks. And this was a difference like no other. We zoomed through this easily. First death was our paladin dying to a stomp on the very last trash mob just because he hates clean sheets, which eventually led us to 3 chests in this one. And surely this isn't just a, oh, but there's no fortified angle. Be that as it may, this was my final dungeon for our first week of playing, and so the vault awaits. And while the Ruffer got absolutely shafted in almost every week of vaults, this week was no exception. Full myth track vaults, hands that I already had, a cloak that I got crafted, and a ring with shit stats. GG man. This has nothing to do with this video. I just wanted to share my pain. On our Druid, we at least had the benefit of the doubt. Even if it's a shit ring, it's probably an upgrade. Even if it's a tier set or convertible piece, it probably is an upgrade. Weapon was tough considering we crafted one, but I'll take the hero headpiece any day of the week. Easy vault, quick vault, Better not get used to that for the future. Eventually I did finish my time working weekly, which I started last week, but I don't know if that is an upgrade or not. I did some world quest / farming to make some coins on the side, as I planned to craft a second or even a third item this week. So we needed some liquidity.
If you're a broke boy, just say so.
So we returned to Mists on a fresh new week. A week that will haunt me, and one I'll be very happy when it's over. Arguably the most annoying and most punishing ethics of this wonky ass seasonal rotation. As of right now, it's dispelling time. Devour will put a heal absorb on every player that can be dispelled with every dispel possible or heal it through. And the second part is the most important one. Healing it through means this is classified as a healer affix, pretty much like every other affix as well, but on this one, legit nobody gives the slightest shit about it. But here's the kicker. Everybody should give a shit, because if your healer fails to solo the affix, every mob in combat will regenerate 10% of their HP for every absorb that wasn't dealt with. And that paired with Tyrannical, which is also up this week, is a bad combination. The wonkiest situation is this one. People running away from me and pulling the next set of adds, so I couldn't heal them and both mobs healed themselves because of it. This affix legit infuriates me. Blizzard wanted to steer away from players having to play an affix instead of the dungeon, but this affix ruins every healer's day. By saying that, I'm well aware that this is not even a topic on hierarchies or with good players, as most of them either deal with that themselves or take so little damage that the healer easily takes care of it. But if you're a bad healer, like I am, this is horrible. I would like to play some cat in between hots, but I always have to use my Convoke to potentially have enough healing for the affix. Very, very, very annoying. I found out a good way to do this though, which simply requires me to not use Swiftness or Convoke unless the affix is up. With that being said, I need some seasoned rest remains to confirm something for me. When using Nature's Swiftness, your next regrowth does 100% more healing. But when I use it and then Convoke after, the charge still remains. Does that mean that every regrowth that comes out of Convoke is also increased by 100%? Because it damn sure feels like it to me. Let me know if you know. Disregarding, that's what I did at this point. And while this Mist Key went a lot better than the last, as it ultimately ended up in a 2 chest, the siege I did after was a lot closer. Mainly to me slipping in banana peel just to be feared off into a new pack to wipe the party. There are some things in life that you can't teach. Finding new ways to wipe your party is one of them. However, it's the last boss in here. The one where you need to dispel pretty much on cooldown, paired with the affix? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. At this point I was also making some talent adjustments, as I was no longer rocking the double Swiftment, but instead went with the talent that doesn't remove the hot and instead increases the duration of it. Also extra wild growth healing, which apparently is key in, well, keys. Though the Swiftman talent change made something with me mentally. I still thought that Swiftman consumes the hot to instantly heal the player for the remaining healing it is still on it. Apparently, it's not. Now it's a flat heal, that even though it does consume a current hot, grants you a buff to apply a more powerful one afterwards. Knowing that made me play very differently, as I was a lot more confident to spot heal a gamer if needed. What my dumbass still doesn't understand is Life Bloom being giga important, as this spell itself triples the value of your mastery, meaning every target with Bloom on them takes a lot more healing. Read your talents, kids. This was only a 4, and I had to sweat my ass off to play it proper. Instantly dispel somebody, use trees on cooldown, wild growth on cooldown, and then pray that NS with Convoke will deal with the affix. Man, I can't wait to play this shit on hierarchies in the future. The penultimate dungeon of this episode was a Stone Vault. In here, a viewer gave me a quick note on how to play the first boss.
Dispel when lasers start firing.
Every time the beams are going off, that's the moment you want to dispel the tank. Apparently the debuff they have does increase cooldown regeneration. It's supposed to stay up for the longest time and just has to be dispelled before the next smash. And yet the biggest issue, again as we come full circle, was missing kicks.
You're joking.
You see, on the double boss, there's only one thing that can mess up the run. Well, besides standing in one-shots. It's the kickable cast of Brock. Keyword, kickable. Because even though I went for every range kick I could go for, we eventually wiped on just a few % missing. So let's see what happened. Brock starts casting, and not only did Billy over here kick the wrong target, Deadcraft kicked about 7 seconds too late. Cast went through, we died, GG. Oh man. We tried again, and wiped again. Shit's really tough out here. So instead of having something nice, let's go to the City of Threats again. This time with Tyrannical and the healing affix to deal with. Surely nothing can go wrong in this one. Yet the second boss was a quick spoiler on what else is to come. Having a lot of party-wide damage paired with the healing absorb is so insanely annoying to deal with. And it's also the main issue on the next boss. Big ass pulse damage and the heal absorb. paired with the extra heal absorb on the boss anyways. I had some regrets, I'm not gonna lie. But hey, what are the odds that those two abilities overlap? Am I right? Fantastic overlap, really. Nice job, Blizzard, really nice, fantastic. So much fun, so much wow, so much just nice. Just fuck me raw, dude. Give it to me, please. I beg you for more, man. Diddy me up, daddy. Holy shit, can this be any worse? Hey guys, it's Gussi. Welcome back to the third episode of me realizing that playing as a healer is not always what it's cracked up to be. In this Zero to Hero, no, I can't believe in my HOTS as we are all standing in stuff non-stop. Rdruid edition. In the last episode we started to complain about the current seasonal affix, as I said multiple times it's a heal absorb and the timing could be so bad on multiple occasions. Now, since that I learned from you in the comments about the truth that explained to me how the affix really works, I am more chill with it, but more on that later. And we complained even more about everybody, yes, me included, not using defensives or refusing to kick, which ended on an annoyingly avoidable Stonevault break, as well as my biggest fear in a city of threats due to the overlap of the mentioned affix and arguably the most unpleasant group-wide damage in the game today. Fantastic overlap, really. Nice job, Blizzard, really nice, fantastic. So much fun, so much wow, so much just nice, just fuck me raw, dude. But I'm done complaining, at least that's what I'm trying to tell myself. And so I will show you what happened in that COT run, as we are getting dangerously close to Keystone Master already. Also, we just annihilated the threshold that is 1k followers on Twitch. So thank you for everyone who keeps showing up to the swankfest I call live streams. Mucho lovos, amigos.
That's gotta be racist. There's no way.
So if that sounds like an episode you want to change your happy and carefree life for a night, then whip out your healer, that isn't a shaman, and experience despair while crying yourself to sleep. Well, so much for not complaining anymore. Alright, so while I was molding over the third boss in City of Threats, let me quickly inform you about the newfound knowledge that got sent my way. Apparently, even though the Celadet's Bargain Devour debuff is shown like a shield on the Bliss frames, it is in fact not an absorb. It simply requires you to fully heal it through, but your party members still get the full healing value. Now, does this make this affix any better?
No.
Will I be more chill about it?
No.
Will DPS players still ignore the spelling? Instead, I will simply await the reset to not deal with this shit for the next weeks. Disregarding, it took a little bit of, I guess, fear away, as I at least get to heal my party through, and it also explains why the healing itself did work perfectly on this boss. Now, this would also be the time where I allow you to just let loose on the tips and tricks about Rdruid whenever you get some hidden tech to teach, as I'm really trying to get good at this, which includes learning the right things early on. Also, with little things like Life Bloom being extra valuable to heal a person up quickly, it shows you that I do not know any of the talents at all. Usually I level up a character with that spec to get a basic feel for it, but for this Druid it was different. Character was max level and I never healed on a Druid ever since they introduced the 16:9 format. But back to the actual dungeon. On the third boss in the City of Threat, which I would like to call by name, but there's no way I can pronounce whatever that is, besides the pretty big stomp that you can easily heal, the boss does require the party to soak those little purple balls, but if you do, you get a heal absorb onto you, an actual heal absorb this time. So far so good, playable and no issues. The biggest issue the boss has to offer is the Dark Pulse though. That thing does mad, and I mean mad damage, so I need to figure out a way to deal with this. The idea being that obviously I hit everybody up with a rejuvenation as well as the wild growth, maybe 2 trees, and then convoke just to overheal as much as possible. And it worked quite good, to be honest. With the new information about how the affix works, it's actually also quite nice because if the party takes damage, it's easier to heal them. Luckily, Convoke being a 1 minute cooldown lines up pretty nicely with the Dark Pulse. If that doesn't work for hierarchies, I am screwed for real. The last boss is a prime example of a Druid's healing pattern. Keep HOTS alive on everybody and then maybe use some bursty heal with Convoke or maybe the trees. So I did keep Convoke to deal with the Bargain affix because I was a bit too afraid to use it. I also didn't keep HOTS with everybody because I'm shit like that. The main issue on this boss is just the almost permanent dot being up, so having HOTS with everybody is key. Also, side note, as a warrior, you can spell reflect every cast of Splice. Doesn't do that much damage, but it will guarantee that you stay alive. Speaking of staying alive, guess what we didn't manage to do in the next Grim Battle Key? Boy, did the second boss cause some issues on us. Tank absolutely got his dick kicked in, and the pool management also had some room to improve. So second attempt, and this time the beefy cow stayed strong and we were able to send this ugly bastard flying. We simply did slow and steady pulls, which had us end up on the final boss with a solid amount of 4 minutes to end this. No wipe and we are good, but there's a problem.
Senpai!
While the tentacles unpleasantly tickled me in my no-no square, our tank dropped. But because I felt the weird urge to do it again, yeah, about that. And apparently, my wild desire for tickles caused a lot more issue than I would have expected. Juicy 8-minute overtime. Yeah, that's on me, ladies, I'm very sorry. So from one dungeon I failed because of mechanics, to another where I can just blame the coding for bad things. Let's break some dawn. Another dungeon I'm curious about, specifically on managing the incoming damage on the second as well as the third boss. Before we can get to those, however, we need to survive the most important boss in here, the ships. Cause believe it or not, those bitches are slippery at times. That is, if you can make it out of them in the first place. God, I hate this dungeon so much, man. Be that as it may, the first boss again is a quite solid one for Restro. Keep the party holded up so you can dispel instantly and get the shield healed through. Easy money, baby. The only thing I do need to be mindful of is the collapsing knight. When she casts it, make sure you're on the move at all times. 2 ticks of this thing and you will enter the shadow realm without any further stops. Now for the second boss, there are 2 things to pay attention to. Only a few people know this, but Anup Ikaish is actually subscribed to Fandy's OnlyFans. Hence why this dude is just throwing out blue balls like no other. And those hurt. Key is to aim them towards a direction with no walls, or anything that potentially could end up being a wall, since you want to make sure it goes to the maximum range before exploding, to minimize the damage incoming. And then there's another form of a Dark Pulse ability in Shadowy Decay. Same thing as on the Blue Sperm boss in City, hurts just as much. I only tell you this as both of these mechanics are easily manageable, but there's one nasty overlap. But we didn't get there. Boss died too quick. Unlucky. Last boss no biggie. Thought it hurts a lot more, but surely that will come on higher keys. With that, 49 rating and another increase in difficulty as we attempt our first +7 of the series. Why is that big? Well, +7 now drops the next level of items, as they are 610 and are called Hero Track. It was also the first dungeon I gave in to the pressure of my guild while installing Cell. It looked almost like the baseline UI, so I didn't mind. The only reason I wanted this is because I was in desperate need for a weak aura that tells me who still has their Devour affix debuff rolling. And my chat told me that Cell has that by default. So there we go. Arakara +7, which never started for me as I just got booted without any comment. Guess we got enough healer these days if we just randomly kicked those guys, huh? Well, their loss, as they probably didn't know that I could have made them famous. Instead, we do a +7 necrotic wake. Wait, what? Everybody who watched the Paladin 0 to Hero knows that this key eluded me till the very end. Even on almost 2.5k score, I only had this one timed on a +4. And now, this is my first +7? Oh man.
However, I did make a quick decision with the newly obtained Cell add-on. I disabled it right after the first boss.
That sucks.
Way too much stuff happening there. This weird little jump the HP bars did whenever somebody took damage or received heal, it's just very flashy and I don't like it. But not even the boring ass Blizzard UI could protect my gang on the second boss. So much incoming damage that I did not see coming, which ended in a kill that has a tagline barely above it, as it describes it very perfectly to say the least. Another kind of incoming damage I never really noticed was the AoE on those monstrosities on the Stitch Flash fight. Apparently the damage they do stacks higher and higher for the time they are alive, which makes total sense as the incoming damage will be very overwhelming once there are 2 of them. Luckily this fight was a lot cleaner than Amarth downstairs, and so we add another thing to our bingo card that I didn't see coming. While not wiping on either the first boss, the second or the third boss, we did wipe on this one.
What?
Who could have seen that coming? But after the wipe, I finally did get myself a cheeky weak arrow that does exactly what I was asking for all week. Big ass debuff symbols next to the party, just perfect. Eventually we kept that one boss wipe a unique problem, and so we timed this key for a whooping 51 score. Which means we are barely 200 away from our first benchmark, KSM. And yet, here's where I have a confession to make. I'm addicted.
I'll be damned.
That's why I wanted to continue even though this affix drained me more than the first day of No Nut November. So I got myself a second crafted item, I went for the pants and put the extra effect on it that will double the effect of my weapon embellishment. With that new upgrade, I felt the weird urge to return to City of Threats for some perverted reason. Maybe I just really like the punishment or something. And would you look at that? We experienced something new. This is the first time I get to do it this way instead of the usual middle route. I don't see much of a difference, but hey, as long as the score ends up fine, who am I to judge? What I will judge though is me being stupid. Getting clapped by the circle was actually something I thought I grew out of. Another thing I thought I'm done with is dying to stupid things. Yes, I wanted to stack with a tank in order to do the soak, He just leaped out while I didn't. No CR this time, so this was a wipe real quick. But instead of going again, while using Bloodlust and potentially finishing a dungeon, our mage just dipped. Cool stuff. Is it just me, or did Arcane go from not being played at all in Dragonflight to this weird flavor spec with attitude issues? I do feel like a lot of Arcane enjoyers are quite toxic a lot of times. Maybe I'm just unlucky though, who knows. Be it as it may, we got more, since we can't always end on a bad note. So we once again stepped foot into a key that turned out to be a good lesson for the future, Stonevault. And again, because I'm a weird little bitch boy, +7. So as we talked about in the last episode, I may need to twist the information I gave you there. Apparently the debuff the boss puts on a tank will eventually grant a damage reduction when dispelled. That's why you want to dispel it just before the big seismic smash. A good indicator for that is to use dispel once the beams are going off. This time, we chose to go to Skarmorak as a second boss, and because so far every SV key I did got bricked on the other side, I had very limited information in here. Apparently as a healer, you do want to grab those little purple thingies in order to put a buff onto you that in fact increases healing done. What you don't want to do however, is dying to the swirlies. Wipe the party. I cannot recommend. I was quite surprised how chill the tank was in here, so we went again, and this time I got myself the stacks I needed to heal this through. What almost messed me up though was the double shard explosion every time, as in my head I was certain we would go for one at a time. At least that's what I usually do as a DPS. Luckily the explosions of those little shards only do initial damage and no dot to make anything worse. 2 stacks were manageable in the end. The buff that increases your healing does do some solid damage to me as well, so don't grab them without any hots rolling. And so we once again go for the nasty duo of Brock and his ladyboy robot. While I try to do the range kick every time I can do it, my party unfortunately decided to get their ass burned by the lava cannon and the vents. Such an unforgiving boss, man. Goodness gracious. I feel like I'm doing quite well with the anger management overall this episode. We eventually got it done on the second attempt, even though we again had 3 extra deaths that took 1 CR and an Ank from the board, but clutch kicks coming in towards the end, and so we made our way to the final boss, what felt like for the first time in forever. And even though we got 17 deaths, 2 boss wipes and a healer who had no idea what's going on, we ended up timing this key, 87 score to our name, and finally our first hero piece, which of course was a weapon, which we don't need due to our crafted 619 piece. This game truly knows how to tickle my nutsack in just the wrong way, man. However, this is how we will end this episode. With an item level of 602 and a score of 1885, I feel like we advanced quite nice, and let me tell you, I ain't done for this week. But as always, I thank you for watching and I wish for you to have the most fantastic day whenever you see this. Until I catch you in the next one, peace. Hey guys, it's Kusi. Welcome back to the already 4th episode of me learning new things about Rdruid from you guys, as reading tooltips is for wussies and weeps. In this 0 to hero, where I can actually have fun now that the Devourer affix is gone, Rdruid edition. In the last episode, we practiced anger management to compensate for the lack of faith we had in our own ability to keep people alive, and against all odds, went for our first +7 key in an attempt to possibly grab some hero items. And while all good things must come to an end, all bad things do too. Today is a day where we end this cursed and annoying week and finally start playing the game. As today, not only will you see the vault deliver a huge upgrade, we will also craft items till we are a little broke Pokemon viewer. And we finally increase the difficulty to the only key level below 10 that actually makes sense. +8 it is. The Gilded Crest hunting season has officially started. Well, sort of, as the very first +8 we did was actually a bit, well, let's say one of a kind. And we meet the arguably most annoying and, dare I say it, slightly toxic warrior duo that let loose for no damn reason at all. But if that sounds like an episode, you want to dust off your keyboard, plug in your wireless headset and prepare for a week where healing is actually incredibly enjoyable because of this annoying piece of shit affix being gone. Oh god, do I feel free! Then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as our growth on YouTube is far from over and the 10k goal is now officially in smelling distance. Alright, so after successfully timing a Stonevault again for the first time since forever, I decided I'm not done with this week, as even though I don't like the pain of the still occurring Zealothod's bargain model Devour, I'm addicted to grinding, and believe it or not, I'll take this shit seriously. So with 1885 score and only 150 to go for Keystone Master, I wanted to get that done before the next reset, so we will have an insane increase in item level. I already planned it out in my head, and even though I know you guys are scared about a German guy with a vision, it will all be fine. To warm up myself, I did a Siege 5. Can't be that rough, right? Kinda. Before I remember to record the dungeon, we already had 2 deaths. But since we talked about talents and potentially builds in the comments of the last episode, let's talk about what I'm running right now. I made slight adjustments, mainly due to this loving gentleman who told me the build he is running is J-Dot approved, whoever that is.
Let's go!
And it's also quite damage heavy every minute with the free Heart of the Wild proc for the mad healing. Sounds good to me, so that's what I did. Even though this means no pawn order anymore, for now, because as soon as the reset comes, we are going cat baby. However, for the remaining week, we played a caster build. By rocking Call of the Elder and Dream of Scenarios, which does some stupid amount of healing as you will see, we also play with Master Shapeshifter. Not necessarily to shapeshift, but to gain mana whenever we use our casting abilities. Paired with the extra damage from Grove's inspiration from our hero tree, we surely do some pew pew. I also like how easy it is to track the 1 minute Heart of the Wild proc. You just get the debuff and once it disappears, using Star Search will proc the effect for your own use on demand. Fantastic! The only cat ability we kept was Kick. Reckon that's fair and useful. So the gameplay looks like this. While hotting things up and trying to just keep Sunfire active as it's a one-click AoE dot, we try to spam as many rests on, I'd say, maybe 1 to 3 targets and start using Starfire on more than that for the AoE. With the Heart of the Wild proc, we get mad haste for those abilities, and so we can actually do some numbers. While Wrath doesn't hit like a truck, during Heart of the Wild it does 300% of its damage as healing. Meaning we are talking 1 mil heals every second or so. Only downside? It has the poor and bad AI healing as Mistweaver had before they got changed, like 5 times. That's why Starfire is more consistent, but it doesn't feel worth using on limited targets. But doing damage is always just an extra, as many targets also mean more incoming damage, and so we pretty much are just stuck with healing, and with Keeper instead of Wildstalker our little tree minions do that fantastically. However, back to the keep. Everything was fine until our tank decided to whip out the YOLO limit test pull while taking 2 packs, which had me getting my hairy cheeks clapped, not once, but twice, when I returned to receive a double Gluck Gluck Twister edition of Azurite Charge. Imagine a world where a tank pulls normally for 85% of the dungeon, and then just keeps the normal pulls up till the end. What a surreal idea. Well, full wipe, plus some extra deaths. 12 overall in the end, but we finished it in time. I guess that's all that matters. But since this was just a warm-up, we go into Mists. In dire need of a trinket, since I'm still running that wonky ass Darkmoon deck, I'm looking for a change. Ling. Get it? That was funny to me. Yet, this went great. If by great you associate nobody dispelling themselves and me letting the tank die because I had to ensure the debuff gets sorted, other than that, very good. But of course, there's Mistcaller, and of course your boy does dirt nap things. So I'd like to get the VAR for that one, because similar to a certain president, this barely touched my ear. And no CR, so wipe. That was on me though. But it won't happen again, so... ah shit. Wasn't me this time. 3rd time's the charm was a game changer, and so we end up on a final boss with a rather close timer to get it done, plus 17% trash, but it didn't matter, because the death stacking continued. Ultimately 5 minutes over, 31 deaths, we 3-manned the final boss and ended this tragedy. Actually surprised we stick together for that long to be fair. After that I did a +7 Arakara, which we 2-chested, so no biggie, and I got trolled again. After looting the weapon from Stoneworld, which I couldn't use to do crafting alternatives, we got a headpiece, which is the 1 item I got from Vault. I legit got 3 items on hero track, 1 from the Vault and 2 crafted. Everything else is a big upgrade. Shit is rough out here, man. I also desperately tried to apply to a Grim Battle on a 7, but boy did I get declined. Sometimes instantly. And so we failed our mission for Keystone Master before reset, which means we need to do that after the item upgrades, which means Vault time baby. Checking my gear, the most obvious upgrade would be a trinket. Ascension is nice, but the main stat that a 577 item provides is not so sexy. However, I did consider getting myself the Alchemist Stone crafted anyways, so no matter what we will pull from the vault, we will... Oh snap! Yeah, that would work. The crystal is considered B tier, but since I don't have any alternatives that is claimed to be A or higher, this is insane. 35 item level upgrade, we take those all day baby. Furthermore, I crafted myself a necklace and a new ring, which got me to an item level of 608. But we ain't done. Upgrading all the vet items I still had to 606, this shoved open the doors to a Covenant 610 item level. Why is that special? It's not. I just wanted to make it sound special. So, new week, new me, and finally I can enjoy this role as this affix is fully a DPS duty. The Void Emissary triggered by a Salatitsbargen Voidbound is an ad that will constantly reduce the damage taken from surrounding mobs. Once you kill it, the entire party gets an insane buff. 20% verse, which just means 20% more damage, more healing, and 10% less damage taken, as well as 30% cooldown recovery rate for 30 seconds. Yeah, enough said. This is insane. Furthermore, Fortified is a go-to affix this week below key level 10, which means we avoid some nasty boss mechanics like Dark Pulse, but do have to be a lot more mindful of trash packs potentially pimp slapping the tank out of nowhere. I also moved back to the kiddie action of Wildstalker just because I wanted to, by just yoinking a random ass Radar IO build without any context. Probably will adjust that in a little bit, but for now, let's try. And as a warm up, I went for Mist +7. Now without the need for a changeling, so I'm just there for some action. And right from the get-go, you could tell that Fortified was on duty. Boy, did people get trucked. Went into Cat once, somebody died. Guess I'ma stick to healing for now as well. But at least I was able to do some magic with this build on the first boss. Helped out a little bit was sending almost 700k DPS. I reckon that's fair. Had to wait for Heart of the Wild cooldown to come back before convoking though, hence why I kept the cooldown for so long. The only super annoying part was the final boss, because people were everywhere. Hunter was so far away that I wanted to kick his nuts in so deep that oh, Keystone Master. Cool. But more or less easy key. So we take it and move on to the first proper one that matters. +8 Necrotic Wank. First though, I used the just obtained Spelunker's Mark to get myself a new hero chest piece to replace my vet tier set. Considered to go with shoulders, but I took the chest for more main stat. Big, huge! And this one went exactly as expected, with me dying in the stun lock. Some things never change. But soon I felt a strange sensation of our tank seemingly trying to finish me off multiple times, while simply just dragging the big guy onto my ass in joy for me to get clipped. And all of that just to groom me for the potential disaster pull on the next pack. Boy does the quadruple caster pack hurt. Even more so when nobody uses the damn silencing orb you just gathered. If there's ever a pack to use this on Fortified week, it's this one. But we survived without deaths, is what I would say if we actually would have survived without deaths. Boy was I pumping though. And yet pumping wasn't enough, as we got double Frostbolt volleyed back to the entrance in no time. 30 deaths, not even half the trash down, and only 1 out of 4 bosses so far. Yeah, I must say it's doable. JK, it's not doable. After that, I was able to tell that we weren't focused anymore. I mean, the amount of deaths wouldn't suggest we were focused before. However, simple goofy mistakes kept stacking up the death counter, and just to kick us in the balls while we were down and out, we lacked trash as well. We actually did finish it though, even with a 12-minute overtime and 34 deaths, but I didn't even bother to go back for an item. Now, because I like to keep this in order, I know, shocking for a German, I quickly mentioned that I did a Stormwall +8, which was a pretty chill run, no biggie, pretty basic, pew pew. However, City of Threats +8. Boy, do we need to talk about this one. Don't get me wrong, I don't think this is an extra difficult dungeon as long as Tyrannical is not around. Does the trash hurt? Sure. Are the bosses dead pretty quickly? Hell yeah. So, what do I want to talk about here? Well, this is a tale of respect. Hear me out. The main characters in this story are our mage and our lovely DPS warrior called Lilialen or whatever. For the most part, this run went very smooth. A few errors here and there, but nothing that would break the key in the slightest. Shortly before the second boss, our warrior started to question the mage's ability to play in a very calm and respectful way. Mage, you good bro? Spoken like a true gentleman. This whole thing erupted after our mage accidentally pressed Bloodlust on the trash mob that, completely off topic, hurts like a bitch. I mean, the dot is ticking insanely hard and you can't stand still for casting. Well played, Wizard. Yet now our side character, the tank, and fellow Zack enjoyer took part. Mage apologized, and I tried to steer the conversation away from the topic in the best way I could, complaining. But that's not enough, because while we were waiting for the boss to spawn, the warrior got a lot off his chest. I love how some people think that bashing will increase the performance. Like boy, you're joining a pack key. Be happy you didn't dip after the first boss for no damn reason at all. He apologized twice, said he's a beginner, and this is the point where you need to shut up about it. Meanwhile, we pulled without the mage being here because apparently it doesn't make a difference, and it's weird that I have such encounters that I'd label as negative very rarely, but if I do, they escalate very quickly. I actually checked who has lead in this run, and I told my chat that I'm probably gonna leave if it's one of the both warriors. Just simply because I assumed the party leader was the key owner. But since the warlock had lead and he didn't say anything, I didn't want to ruin his key. We killed the boss, but boy did these warriors not stop. Simply mind-blowing to me. If you have to brag about being a better player than somebody that probably has a life going on outside of WoW, then good luck in your future, big boy. Imagine spending your time in the key bashing a stranger you never met before and most likely never meet again. Don't get me wrong, it's one thing to point out mistakes that potentially be helpful in the future for every player that tries to improve. But this piece of shit is actually part of the problem so many people are complaining about. I'm also mad sometimes if I get people that don't perform in the way I expected. I get it. But just because they didn't meet your expectations doesn't mean you can use them as a sandbag. Rage in Discord with your homies, or go rampage on your meatbeat session after the key to let off some steam. The mage said multiple times that he's heroic raiding with his guild and he does keys with them along the way, which is totally reasonable, and yet all the warrior wanted to hear is, yes, I'm boosted. He only wanted to hear him say that he swiped for raid boosts, swiped for gear, swiped for mythic plus rating. What a pathetic excuse of a gamer that actually makes me ashamed of enjoying the same game he does. Get your shit together, man. It's just a game, and I know I ranted about this for too long, but if there's anything that gets me rallied, it's such an incredible ignorant behavior. Boy acted like he owns this damn place just because he does some damage. But since I don't want to end this video on a bad note, here's something for you to laugh at. Remember when I said that I considered buying the set shoulders from the token but I went with the chest? Oh shit, double item. No, of course! I hate this game! I hate this game! I hate this game! I've been looking for a chest so long, man. And today I bought the chest with the fucking token instead of the shoulders. And now I get the hero chest. Straight up. I hate this game so much, man. Hey guys, it's Kusi. Welcome back to the 5th episode in which we end up answering the lifelong question, do you know the Muffin Man? No, not that one. The Muffin Man! Shut up, dude! In this Zero to Hero, did Resto just become meta because of MDI? No. In the last episode, we met a raging lord of a warrior with self-esteem issues, which claimed that another party member surely was boosted. No, not me for once. And in a funny turn of events, the truth came to light. Actually, his ass got boosted through keys before. We also upgraded our gear to 610, which means there's actually no excuse anymore to not do the big keys. And so we started to farm the highest crafting currency by starting our adventure at +8 keys. As for today's video, the grind continues. Every dungeon on +8 is the goal in here, to simply gather experience and figure out which dungeon hurts the most. With the finish line in mind to potentially go for +12 in the future, and with the ultimate goal for this week to upgrade our weapon to a veiny and juicy 636 item level. Also in this episode, we got hosted live on Twitch by the one and only Vesperol TV, who almost made me choke because of the timing the raid happened. And we are going to attempt our first +10. So if that sounds like an episode you want to check his channel out too, as he just started a Zero to Hero on his own, then make sure to like and subscribe to both channels because sharing is caring. And make sure to grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the 5th episode of our Zero to Hero Restoration Druid. Alright, after shaking our heads in disbelief of the pure audacity of this duo from Agent Degen, in good old German fashion we continue to march towards the promised land that is more gilded crest in an attempt to upgrade our weapon. This obviously means +8 keys it is, and boy did we got some special ones ahead. First, Kara Ara, the Echoes of City. Wait, what? But now I can hear you ask, what's so interesting about Ara Kara Kusi? First of all, don't interrupt me. We wiped. The little thingy finished the swarm's call, GG. Hashtag blended DPS like a healer should. Other than that, we had some funny little poll that needed a lot of healing and I was just chatting meanwhile like it's nothing. Getting a hang of this shit, slowly but surely. However, the major part was during the final boss as I got hosted live from the one and only Vesperol TV. Brother sent 160 people my way, and the disturbing amount of people that followed to trigger the alert while I was busy keeping the party alive was hilarious. Also, what do you think about my shoutout alert? Let me know in the comments.
It's always more fun to share with everyone.
But don't let this distract you from the fact that I got hero legs, which again, believe it or not, is now the 3rd out of 3 items that I've gotten from +7 and above, which is no use, as I got crafted legs. No bueno, papito. But with many newfound friends and the confidence of a college football quarterback that just railed 3 Chileans at the same time.
What?
Is that how it works? I'm not an American, sorry. I was willing to right the wrong right as Necrotic Wake was up on the chopping block, and if you forgot what happened last time, well, let's just say it wasn't as smooth. So time to loop that bad boy up, something Diddy never said before, to make it silky smooth, and with the stupidly strong combination of Enhancer, Red Paladin as well as the broken Prot Paladin, I was not worried. We railed to this, and the most beautiful part was the second boss, as we got to open that one up with the big 20% buff from the affix. Pawn order actually back confirmed? I didn't even die to breath, like what's happening bro, I am hit! He died with full cooldowns from 70 to 0, don't look at me like that. Did that bitch just shot on me? Well, this got way messier in the end than what I would have imagined, but still we timed it.
24 score to our name, and while I was complaining that I never got any item of use so far, I asked our tank if he needs the ring that he just got. And like a true little bitch boy, I yoinked that shit like I'm Gollum Prime, baby. So what else happened? Well, I needed 4 more dungeons on the plus 8 key level or higher for score, so apparently Siege was the place to be. What a fantastic dungeon. Random AoE, almost one-tapping party members, clickbait bosses that are just dumb as the sun is shiny, a female boss that sends out male cannon fodder. I'm sure nobody's complaining about equality here. Some big toe giants that strike fear into enemies. Get it? Because they actually do cast an AoE fear. And while I was enjoying the scenery and let the shaman die, he did a 5-head 200 IQ giga play. He gambled on the escaping mob to pull the boss, so we had no choice but to CR him. Hashtag he ain't walking nowhere. Smart man. Yet this is one of those bosses where doing damage as a healer is mad beneficial. The lesser times she shoots the fire ricochet, the better. Obviously, since it's fortified, those phases go quicker, and I'm certain Tyrannical won't allow me to do that. Especially if nobody uses defenses, am I right? Oh yeah, and then I also killed our red with an oopsie dispel. Sorry, big bro. And even though the dot hurts like a drunk stepdad, it is still manageable to play proper with only 2 melee on this platform. You're gonna see how this can end up on a fully melee party a bit later. 50 score and 3 more to go for a weekly goal. However, I also raided. I know. Boo. I did get hero shoulders though, quite huge. I also 5-headed that entire thing by killing only 6 bosses so I could potentially make my own group for the code later. Which I did. Spymaster dropped, but I failed horribly. So let's go to Siege.
For what? Why?
Yeah, I actually did another Siege because this was a few days after the one I just showed you, and I kinda forgot I did it. But besides me throwing a healing flower onto a cannon, us 2 chesting this bitch for another 9 rating, and me getting hero chest piece, which I was super happy about, not that I even need any loot at all, Blizzard Entertainment. Breathe. I gave it away though. Now let me talk to you for a second. Not that I didn't do that for the past 5 minutes already, but hear me out. Healing is actually fun. And no, this is not just copium. It's difficult, yes, but it's really enjoyable to do. And here's why I figured that out just now. At this point, I did an absurd amount of keys this week already, and just because it's no longer this extremely super punishing bullshit affix with the healing shields, which everybody can dispel but nobody does, it's actually good. Also because it's not tyrannical, there's lesser fear of bosses. So let's change that. Dawnbreaker is next, and this dungeon is known to have some mad heal checks throughout the dungeon. From the utterly annoying AoE damage including heal absorb, and devastating hurtful geometry laser guns, to a Nubikai's OnlyFans provoke blue balls, up onto the raid boss flying spider nightmare thingy in the end, which apparently hates everything yet still poops light orbs. But let's start at the beginning. When I actually did not take this incoming damage seriously, we prepped for the bigger pull on the boat. It got very common to lust this pull, and we even called for it, which is exactly why we didn't use it. Oh, my bad, we lusted it once the half a pack was dead. I do believe this is either the first time or for sure one of the few times I had a BM hunter on my party, and boy, this dude was sending waves. I mean, 3 mil DPS on 3 targets is nothing to sneeze at, and because BM is no longer this flavor of the month spec that everybody, their mother and Bobby Kotick plays, I can respect them a little more. Now, technically the first boss, especially on Fortified, is a rather simple one for Druid. Just hot people up with Wild Growth and Juvie, and yes, I'm gonna call it Juvie from now on, so you can instantly dispel the Burning Shadow. And yet, to make it as easy as it sounds, one needs to be a good healer. The first mini-boss, however, is less pleasant for a Druid. The dodge she does hurts even more than when your mom pulls out your old ass baby videos to embarrass you in front of your girl for the first time. And just like mom whipping out that VOD, this dot comes out of nowhere. Just ignore everything else and spam heal that target. If it's on you, try to use the defensive, why not? The second mini-boss, however, was a bit wonky. As everybody knows, this dungeon is buggy as hell, and somehow we bugged this one out. For some unholy reason, we managed to pull the mini-boss, but not his 2 ladyboy bodyguards. But why would we just take it smoothly if our tank can pull them together in the end anyways? Just to call out for Lust, which was the sign for our hunter to, guess what? Lust. Surely there's now at least one of you thinking, oh, it's not called Lust, it's Primal Wrath. And you can primal kiss my ass if you think that's an excuse. Wake up, Coco Troll. Chop chop, man, because I'm freaking sweating on this pull. Good lord almighty, this was one to remember. The second boss is also something to sweat for, as those few abilities she does are hitting diffy. Whenever she casts a 4th ball, she will overlap it with some nasty party-wide ticking damage, so in order to deal with it, I made the biggest setup so far. I hunted everybody up with Juvie, I'm gonna make this work, into Wild Growth, into Flourish, into Life Blooming myself for better hot ticks, which turns out doesn't work if you have Flourish, as it's the same note, and then NS into Convoke just to pray for as many direct heals as possible. Now, someone in my stream said that they had to whip out 1.4 mil HPS in the plus 12. I have no idea how I am supposed to do that by all means. Guess Dawnbreaker won't be achieved. 45 rating for the 2 chests down Dawn, and so the only dungeon left this week is Grim Battle. Psych! Mists also got into the game, but easy peasy 2 chests, no biggie, so Grim Battle. Boy, did it take ages for me to get into Grim. Now, GB is one of those dungeons that people hated when the season started, but since then learned to appreciate. I mean, there's nothing much going on, besides a handful of mobs like the big lava golem or the big Ascendance guy. Arguably, the roughest one in here is the same Ascendance guy, but twice. Boy oh boy, can your DPS roll you over in a heartbeat here. And if I'm totally honest, I never looked at the mobs once during this fight, only staring at the HP bars. And did you know NS also makes your CR an instant spell that will grant 100% HP?
Yes.
I didn't. Found out by accident. Good shit. Overall, this party made this run so ridiculously smooth. It's crazy. They used decurs, popped defensive, also did some good damage, didn't overpull, played mechanics. I could go on and on, but instead I will show you the giga loot I got. A cloak. A damn cloak. The cloak I think I gotten in every Grim run so far. I just want the Biz trinket, man. Is that too much to ask for? So if the loot won't come to me, I speed myself towards it. As now we finally were able to upgrade our weapon to 636. And don't mind my gold, I can't even afford cookies anymore, man.
If you're a broke boy, just say so.
So, after all those dungeons we did this week, an item level of 615, a score of 2313, and a confidence of a young ladyboy from Thailand, I'm ready for the biggest key yet. We are talking the mother of all vault keys, plus 10 baby. And just because I love pain and pain alone, we are doing Siege of Borealis. Am I worried? Yeah. Am I scared? Yeah. Does my tank use Spell Reflect? Yeah. Am I hyped up with the most tense asshole to do this shit? Yeah. Did I forget to buy water to regen mana in between pulls?
Yeah!
Wait, what? Oh shit, that's rough. We actually wiped on the 3rd pull because somebody added the extra mobs to the dislike of our tank just to go for it again and pull them together anyways. Hashtag decision making. Now, my personal goal in here, besides timing it obviously, is do not mess up. Play it clean, play it nice. And because I'm the only range, it's obviously my duty to kite the boss, which is mildly annoying, yet still fine cause let's be honest, the boss doesn't do much, besides trolling my ass. Fucking Big Toe hit the bomb, but I refuse to believe otherwise. So much for playing it nice. But with failing the easiest mechanic in the game, I had to make up for it by performing on the next boss, which was not as easy. Besides our party getting clapped by the cannon shots, the dot was slapping my nuts with unpleasant force, and so this was giga scuffed. So we went again, and this time I wanted to leave nothing up to RNG. But turns out my willpower isn't enough to heal through the dots and apparently random shots from the boss. So considering we did kill it eventually, it made me happy as it means that I can do it. It's just whether I'm able to pull it off on the first time. And if you look at the timer and think this is still doable, then first of all, you're wild. Secondly, I do have a pull to show you. Not quite sure why we just couldn't backtrack it proper and play it normally, considering we A, won't time this, and B, had a really horrible track record of booty pulling extra packs so far. But it is what it is. The worst part however is the annoying 5-man sniper pack. This is just stupid. People died in a blink of an eye. Hell, I got deleted from 80 to 0 in legit 1 frame. What can I say, man? I love me some mob group without any counterplay. Tilt mode activated. Shut up. I'm not tilted, I'm just complaining with a passion.
Okay.
Oh man, I'm not ready yet. Hey guys, it's Kussi. Let me welcome you to episode 6 of this 0 to Hero Restoration Druid, in which I will attempt to get all plus 10 keys timed, as well as potentially trying to get a plus 12 key done without any help of a friend list, external gold, and of course no Raid.io connection to my main. Or while pugging hardcore, as I don't use my own key, meaning only applying to random groups is the play. So far, we conquered the first hurdle of Keystone Master, gotten used to the plus 8 bracket in order to upgrade our crafted weapon, and we made friends along the way. While in the last episode, we also attempted our first plus 10 key of the series, which absolutely had Weekly No Lever written all over it. But did we finish the run? Or was my incompetence in healing and our party's lack of ability to minimize damage incoming simply too much for us to handle? We will solve that mystery, we will also open our vault, and we will find out that this week is a nightmare for your boy. Up to a point where I legit thought I had to quit, which meant I had to change some things up, and the only one I was certain will be my lifeline in these dying times is a full-blown rest to Degen herself. So if that sounds like an episode you want to get the tissues ready, cause there ain't no way in hell you guess how many keys I depleted this week so far, then make sure to hit the like button, as well as subscribe, because there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and screw that, just roll the intro.
Alright, so to end the suffering and to enlighten you what happened, yes, the last boss alongside many things was also very tragic. Granted, when you play a full melee party, which includes 3 DPS and a tank, the tentacles get very annoying to deal with. But in all fairness, this was mainly me. At least from my perspective. I usually forget that this boss hurts a lot very quickly. I need to be prepped for this a lot more, as having HOTS on multiple target up is key in order to deal with the debuff quickly. Ticked down too much and got slammed by slam. And then panic took over and I cooked myself. Aw man. Eventually, with 44 deaths in the bank, we finished the key, which at least had the tiny, very tiny good part on the horizon that says Myth Track in the vault. So let's open that said vault, and by the law of Blizzard, considering we disgracefully begged for this vault slot, we should get something big. Yet this law doesn't seem to apply to furries, as we got the same ring that I got on my first +10 vault on the Paladin as well. However, I did an oopsie. Mastery Reverse is not bad by all means. Haste is good, but having those two stats that just increase my heal output as well is really good. But my dumbest decision making from the last run extended itself towards this vault, and so I chose the wrists. Which was even extra dumb, because I do have those wrists on champion with a socket.
Are you stupid or something?
Look man, no idea why I did that. I had instant regret. Let's not ask questions and just forget about it. With this new week, we also got a different affix to play again. While Tyrannical is the one applied below +10 again, we also got Salathat's Bargain Ascension returning. This one places 10 void droplets rather close to each other, which need to be dealt with by either kicking, purging, or, the easiest, CC them. Mass CC is the keyword here, and I personally can deal with that thing very easily. In-cap Roar is always ready when the orbs spawn, and so I'm not worried at all during this week. Though Tyrannical does worry me a little bit, not gonna lie. With that being said, let's step foot into the one that isn't known to be a difficult boss fight dungeon at all, Stone Vault. And this one started off so nice. Big pull, no wipes, and without lust. Seems good. What didn't seem good was the first pull on the first boss. You see, the boss does put a debuff onto a tank that, if dispelled, is a built-in damage reduction. So our duty as a healer is to dispel this before the big tank buster happens. Problem here is that the tank buster will apply that debuff, which means the very first one is on a naked tank. So in order to prep, I put my only damn external on him in Ironbark, and that dude still got sent to Narnia in one blow. Now here's where I struggle a lot, to be honest. Healing the party up during the 3 dots you get by destroying the stone pillars just before the big stomp. Now my chat told me that you kinda just want to deal with 2 of the pillars before the stomp hits, just because it's easier to heal up. Is that how it works? I mean, granted, some people died randomly in there, but I know exactly how that feels, so I won't be mad at that. We wiped 2 times on this boss. Psych! But we got more. Believe it or not, we got Druid, which is great, I guess. For a nice change of pace, we got through the second and the third boss without any problems, and eventually even finished this thing, slightly overtimed. So let's change some things up with Grim Battle. Not too worried about this one, at least up until the last boss. And yet I felt a strange feeling that this could end up very badly. Not sure if it was the failed placement or maybe a weird talent build, but something was not right. Our damage was ass, dude. And then we had the great idea to not clear any more trash before the second boss, which meant we played it with very limited space. Now, here's where I claim that I carried that. Sorta. I baited the cone like a real one. And then I didn't heal myself to die. You win some, you lose some. And then I baited the cone again, but this time giga shit. Sometimes you lose some, and sometimes you lose even more. Oh hey, look at that, we got the same cloak again. Isn't that cool? For motivational purposes, I went to a +8 key and timed this one for the first time in at least a long time. With that tiny boost in confidence, I was ready to do more +9s. So let's return to the start, Stonebolt 9 again, as I felt I was ready now. And ready I was. Easy first try on the boss. Easy party wipe cause of LOS. Wait, what? I reckon that Tank and I won't be friends after this one, cause I never understand why DH just jump into the pack, using the global to not press anything of use. Jump doesn't do shit. So he goes in and gets clapped. And while I try to position myself in front of our party every now and then to be able to just sit down and wreck mana, some tanks take it as a sign to just go ahead faster. So did he. Died with Meta, Brand, Chaos Nova and Darkness up, but hey, at least he knew how to press the leave party button. I was so mad at this point, mostly at myself because I still felt so weak. So what better place to find your inner peace than City of Threats? Easy dungeon, easy bosses, something no one ever said. I quickly learned that the second boss doesn't mess around at all. The icy dagger thingy paired with the bleed that is going on as well was nothing to sneeze at. For some reason I also lost the ability to use Life Bloom. Watching the replay I can just tell that I never press it for some unknown reason. Also pressing Convoke during Tree of Life gonna be the dumbest thing I've ever done. But I know why you're here. Third boss. Dark Pulse. But boy do I have news for you. This ain't gonna cut it, Chief. Just a setup. Pots, no trinkets, no trees. Convoke though. At least some wins for me today, baby. Now on the last boss, I quickly want to mention something. As a warrior, you can spell reflect almost every splice cast from the boss. Meaning, besides the stomp and the web, you take almost no damage at all in this fight. Keep that in mind. But we will return to City, so let me just mention that we timed it with the 2 chests. Not that bad, but this party also used defensives throughout the dungeon, which I'm very grateful for. So, for the 3rd time, Stonewall +9, without Lust. And this was easily the roughest start so far, which wasn't even enough itself. Apparently our party got spooned by a bug that is supposed to be out of the game. You see, we did get the vents burning, which is our cue to run to that one vent that is clear. Which didn't happen because we got trucked instantly by the boulder. Ain't no way that's an overlap, you barely got time to react. But that's just enough to break that one as well. Which means, back to the motivational siege key. Good lord, that feels awesome. Now here's the thing, am I ready for +10 keys? I don't think so. Does my gear suggest that I'm ready for +10s? Absolutely. So the gloves go off, and if I have to be the one to brick keys just so I can learn, then so be it. This was an attitude I quickly regret, as I actually was the reason we potentially bricked this +10 key. It was a good run up until the 2nd boss. Man, this was a rough one. And it didn't help that I got slapped quite hard. It was so confusing to me that our tank ran away from the party, which made me think that he's using AMS just to not get the debuff at all. I don't even know if that works, but that was my first thought nonetheless. But he didn't. He just ran away. We wiped again, and this time this was 100% on me, no questions asked. I should dispel myself ASAP, or at least dispel somebody that has the dagger debuff already. Now I know, and with that information, we got it done. The 3rd boss was not necessarily harder than the last time, so I was prepared. And luckily, I found out that we would have wiped and not timed it regardless when we did the final 2 mini-bosses before the final boss. Way too much to deal with. I got so upset there. I guess at least the vault is secured. And yet it doesn't stop here. Even off stream I tried to get stuff done. +9 mists depleted. +9 Dawnbreaker depleted. Hell, I even did a +9 necrotic wank where everyone in this was between 620 and 630 item level. And yet still, they died to frontals or even just by standing in puddles over and over again. I was ready to call it, man. I was ready to quit this entire thing. But I don't want to be known as a bitch. So as a true addict that needs change, I was searching for help and there was only one person that came to mind.
Legit question, do you have a recommended build to play as Rdruid? I struggle so much to heal bosses even on +9s, for example, the dot on the 2nd boss in Siege, or the poison dot on the big bug lord after the 2nd boss in City. The big, which, oh, I know what you mean. Okay, I need help. So if you do exclamation point talents, that is the build that I have been running. That also has Heart of the Wild if you want to contribute a little bit of damage. I run Keeper. I don't know if you've been running Keeper or Wild Stalker. I tried Wild Stalker and I didn't like it. I'm gonna test that one. Yes, yeah, no problem. Let me know if you have any questions. Also, the other thing to, like, because I don't have any logs and you and I haven't really talked about what your ramp looks like, but make sure that you're putting Life Bloom on the 2 squishiest DPS. Make sure you're always keeping F-Low down and people are standing in F-Low. Make sure, because there's a talent where if you use Regrowth on someone who does not have Life Bloom, that Regrowth goes to that person you just casted it on, but it also applies to the 2 people with your Life Bloom. So you're basically, in one GCD, or one cast rather, you are applying 3 regrowths, which is huge. So make sure you're doing that. If you feel like someone has a debuff and they need an extra mastery stack, you can use Rejuve on that person as well. What else am I missing? Cenarian Ward heals for a lot right now. You could also apply that to anyone who has a debuff or who needs some extra healing. I don't know if you play 1 Swiftmend or 2 Swiftmends, but that is, another option. Swiftmend, which brings up Soul of the Forest into Nature Swiftness into Regrowth. You can do that as well.
Naturally, I tested that one out. Things to mention are Rampart Growth, which is what she said is the one that applies regrowth to both targets affected by Life Bloom, and Prosperity to give us 2 Swiftments. Double Swiftment is also insane to proc the 10-second Tree of Life a lot quicker. This build also runs with Master Shapeshifter, which will take care of the mana issues I'm having lately. With early spring, my bark boys are now also living for 15 seconds with a 17-second cooldown, which means you can have one of them up pretty much at all times, which is something I need to remind myself of. Now, with this found confidence and the bulletproof build blessed by Queen Laria herself, I applied to the only key that mattered, Stormward +9, which got disbanded because we didn't find a tank. But Dawnbreaker it is instead. Perfect stress test for your boy, and I was doing some magic early on. The key thing here for me was to remind myself of having Life Bloom up on 2 targets at all time. She did say the squishiest, but since I don't know which one will take the most damage, I just wanted to have it up. And that little change already made me realize how big this is. Also, the entire idea of multi-spreading regrowth with rampart growth makes it very forgiving to play with double Swiftmint, as Swiftmint consumes one of the hots on the target. But it's tyrannical, so there's only one real stress test to go through. Oh shit, tank died. Well, I'll go again. Setting up everything. Wild growth, juvie, AoE regrowth spreads, double life bloom, flower power, double bark boys, and then convoke. Bro, I am so him! Hi guys, it's Kusi. Welcome back to the 7th episode of this Zero to Hero Restoration Druid, and yes, I know there was no episode on Friday, I'm sorry, but the reason why I didn't have one out on Friday is simply because I felt like I lacked progress. I've been spamming +8 keys to get used to the dungeons, as I still feel like I don't know certain damage patterns on bosses. But today we are gonna see some changes. Some for the better and one specific for the worst. We are going to attempt a lot of +10s, and yes, the keyword is attempt, because joining strangers' keys paired with the inability to do my own duty every now and then can be very destructive. Also on the list we got the Vault with a phenomenal banger of an item that buttered my egg roll in so many ways. And we get straight up insulted for being ass. Kinda weird this happened so late, to be honest. However, there finally is a light at the end of the tunnel, as I finally gave in and grabbed myself some weak auras, including a sound pack, which is absolutely idiot proof, and there's no way in hell that I forget to dispel the tank on Etna now. Yeah, no way. Yet if that sounds like an episode you want to train your Nelson impression by saying every time I mess up, then don't you worry, you're gonna sound just like him at the end of this video. Oh yeah, and obviously I don't want to be a muppet saying, oh guys, did you know that more than 60% of you aren't subscribed? So just imagine a mildly disappointed hippo staring at you. Is that all you got? Like and subscribe. Alright, so we ended the last episode with a beautifully played Dawnbreaker 9 after we reached out for some absolutely required and necessary help. With the new build and the new approach to healing after reading more than half of the tooltips, I was ready for more, and more shall come my way. However, first, I need to make a controversial adjustment to the series that will affect almost everybody, including my dad, who specifically said that he will not come back from the store if I underdeliver. But I will back down from the +12 key in order to successfully end the series. What? Two major reasons for this decision are in place, and I hope you will understand me afterwards, so hear me out. First is simply the time. I honestly thought that you guys were just mocking me when you said Rdruid is really hard, but that's actually the case if we're talking about the fully pucked challenge. I thought I'd be way further ahead at this point, and it's only due to my lack of ability that I'm not. So why is time an issue? I tell you, the amount of keys I applied to over the last few days and weeks that got instantly bricked or disbanded is disturbing. And while queuing up for +10 sometimes takes a lot more time, it's just really annoying if you apply to, let's say, 3 keys a day after work, which all go nowhere. This is obviously just gonna get way worse with +12 keys in play, as every tiny mistake will ensure somebody dipping the key right away without any hesitation. I don't think I can do that while also providing footage for 1 or 2 videos a week. And why can't I do that? Which is the Giga 5-hit segue for the second reason, I'm frankly ass. What? Like legit saggy wrinkly ass at playing healer. My mind does not work like this. Taking care of the party while also not dying myself, prepping everything 10 seconds in advance and then panicking at the slightest miscalculation, I'm just straight up not him. Also, a little side reason,
I kinda wanted to get one more series out in the current season, which will be scuffed timing wise if we consider that it's a possibility for the next content patch to be out in February. Now, I hope you understand me and hopefully won't be mad at my decision to back down from the plus 12. I simply bit off a lot more than I can chew. Disregarding, I will continue to play the Druid further, and I will do attempt plus 12 keys during this season for sure. And when that happens, you will be the first to know. It will just not be a requirement to end the series. Now then, since we didn't time a plus 10 key yet, and since I'm still very unsecure towards multiple dungeons considering their healing patterns, I was training. A lot. Especially Stonevault. And boy, did all go differently for multiple reasons. With one specific thing that was always present and always apparent. Me messing up the dispel on Edna. However, it was not always my fault. You see, here our paladin used bubble and pretty much removed the debuff himself, which didn't even give me the opportunity to dispel. Which I totally did not notice until somebody in my stream pointed it out. So he would have died anyways, but fear not, as it's not the only Stonevault that triggers almost autistic tendencies of somewhat I call MIS, Mechanic Ignoring Spastics. Arakara plus 9, beautiful run, clean run, just perfect. But then the end boss hit, and boy is this one special. Got clapped by one of the poison waves simply because I was only tunneling on HP bars. God, I was struggling to heal people, man. My ramping was horrible, the setup bad, no idea why I did that. But wait, there's more. This went from an easy 2 chest, 0 deaths, to a 14 deaths, 3-minute overtime real quick. And after a couple of time plus 9 keys in form of Mist and Stonevault, I was determined to come back to this haunted spider infested place. Similar situation, about 9 minutes for the last boss, being it a bit more rocky than the other, but all the time in the world for, I'ma say 2 attempts. Yeah, scratch that. Ultimately we killed this boss, and by saying we, I mean the tank by himself, but not after I got absolutely finger blasted Kakashi style by Tree of Life. You see, this shitty Yggdrasil cosplay is actually considered a shapeshift. And what happens to druids when they change their shape? They cancel roots. So if that tree runs out during the root, you're getting sucked in as the goo breaks apart. I think somebody actually told me this before, but ain't no well in hell I remember that till now. I quickly understood that this boss will be a hurdle and a half, that I have to get used to simply because I find healing on this boss very unpleasant. So much going on, and when you're the only poison dispel, it's really something else. The last key of this week was once again an Arakara, in which I stayed alive and happily collected 19 rating for a finally time plus 9 key. Happy beans, so let's jump into the vault for an item that I did not expect by all means. So one thing to mention, somebody sent me 10k gold on this Druid to help me with my gold issues, which is something I deeply appreciate, however I will not use them. I planned on leaving it in the mailbox until the series is over, but I forgot about it and accidentally took it when I hit the take all button. So I put it in the warbank for now. And no, I sadly couldn't send it back, I tried. With that being said, Vault baby!
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Now, what are the odds we either get some boots, which we desperately need, as they are 606 veteran, or even a big juicy trinket in form of a Spy Master, or even the Gale of Shadows. But behold, as I already gave you a hint at the intro, egg rolls indeed have been buttered since I finally, for the first time, after playing 4 characters this season, got the Brood Sack on Hero. Fantastic! What is absolutely not fantastic is me being a broke little bitch boy, as I got the juicy Haste Mastery ring from Grim Baton with a socket, but I can't afford one. Nonetheless, since it's a new week, let's talk about this week's affix. Even though I'm a firm believer that the Devour affix is the worst to play for a pack healer, I feel like this one is way more annoying in general. While Salabun's Bargain Oblivion is active, you are going to deal with 10 balls. 10 balls that will eventually try to connect to opponents. To deal with them, you need to soak them up for a stacking mastery and leech buff, which is not that bad for a healer, as leech also extra heals you for all the healing you do to others. Weird how that works. But why is affix bad, Pussy? Great question, I'm glad you asked. Sometimes, and when I say sometimes, I mean a lot more often than you think, this affix goes off at really annoying situations or areas. First boss in Dawnbreaker or final boss in Siege, just to name a few. The punishment for not soaking the orbs is arguably even worse than Devour at all. When not collected, enemies gain 10% damage done. Now, imagine 30 or 40% more damage done on your favorite boss that does a Dark Pulse mechanic. And trust me, I've seen it happen. Matter of fact, it happened to me. Oh yeah, and Fortified is also active again, but who gives a damn, because in plus 10s, both Tyrannical and Fortified are apparent anyways. And 1 giga GG well played segue later, we found ourselves in the plus 10 Dawnbreaker, just like that. A lot of special pulls I need to overcome without choking, which is, well, easier said than done. While the first boss went fine, we had a different approach than many other parties. We started on the second mini-boss, which is easily the toughest heal check of them three, and boy, did we ace that shit. Very pleasant when you can just stand still to heal, as the tank faces away from the party to bait the frontals. However, the deal breaker for this one was the second boss, for a very different way than you'd guess. I bet you sit there giggling, oh, I bet you can't heal the overlap. To what I can say? Yeah, probably not, cause I even messed up on the pulse by itself. However, the actual issue was our tank dying to the tank buster. Now granted, he only had Barkskin up to lift that himself, but then he said I need to top him. I was actually for certain he will lift it as a bear, to be fair. Then we messed up the second pull. GG, go next. Miss plus 10 was the next key on my brick list, and this one was a favorite during the stream. Not only did we already show up to the maze with 5 deaths from pretty much just dying to dumb stuff, we also double pulled onto the dragon, which just escalated out of control so fast, you might believe this was an MDI run from a few weeks ago. If you know, you know. Disregarding, this went south. So south that Trump wanted to put a wall in that bitch. Also, can we talk about the absolute unnecessary frontal effects on this mob? Blue breath onto blue ground with blue stuff around. Is this some Smurf fetish or what? You only see the breath after it hit you, which is arguably too late. Besides this wonky pull and the following wipe fest, we ended this key with not even 4-minute overtime, meaning without that one pull, we would have still timed it even though this run was not clean by all means. I like how the hunter was also complaining for me standing in melee on the boss, which I just did to be in range of everybody. Brother got slapped twice by the green puddles. This ain't my fault, homie. And you know me, of course I mocked him on the final trash pull when he died again to the green circle. A bit bummed that we didn't time it, even though we had enough juice to make up for the few of those mess ups. I obviously wanted to treat myself to another Stonevault key, but you can guess how that worked out. Party died, mage disconnected.
Wildlife!
GG. At this point I wanted a weak aura just for that dispel. I didn't want an entire dungeon weak aura set, as I always feel it makes fights annoying and I much rather prefer to play the game as unedited as possible. Also, I'm used to having DBM or little wigs to tell you everything you need to know, but apparently that's not gonna cut it. Granted, I still yet fail to understand why tanks do not pull a defensive if the smash is happening and the dispel didn't go through yet. I had this memory a bit different in my head. Apparently he was the one that bubbled the debuff off of him, so for once it was not my fault. I was wondering why he said it's his mistake, since I didn't even realize it in game. I just thought I missed the dispel completely. So yeah, I actually got myself a fully dungeon weak aura, in which I disabled everything but Stonevault, just so we can go into the mist key and not use it right away.
For what? Why?
Okay, so can I ask you something? Did you ever have a feeling of everything is going to be alright when you join a party? Double Red Paladin into Augmentation, which means giga big damage, into a Brewmaster, which has a very high chance of being a good player since Brew is so far away from being a meta spec, plus the quite juicy amount of utility coming out of everybody. God damn, I was ready for this one. All packs got melted as well. So my duty was clear. Get my shit together and perform on the healing. The good thing about this dungeon is that big damage will absolutely decrease the amount of healing required. I know that's basic math for every boss or dungeon, but I feel like even more in this one. If you fail to kill the slave on the first boss, at some point Ingra will shroud himself in Embrace Darkness, which has a very nasty ticking damage applied to the party. Meaning the real party-wide damage doesn't even go out if your party can slap the slave one quick enough. I also really like this boss, because it's one of the few where you can just send it all in cat form, and you don't need to worry about convoking as a heal cooldown. 800k DPS in the end, while biting his ass for 6.5 million, we take that. So during the maze, it was the true moment where I realized how insanely cool a Brewmaster monk is for a Druid. This guy cannot get trucked. Every tank knows the anima slash on the Guardians, and monks just eat that thing up like it's nothing. I also believe he just dodged a few of those a couple of times. Oh, and if you ask yourself where that one death is coming from, you already know it's your boy. Dude, I don't even know why I stared the health bars on this mob. This dude doesn't do shit. The second boss also was just a stupidly easy thing with this kind of party, so the only two things I had to do is to root the fox and to use Convoke on the mirror, as it both heals and does damage. Oh, but what's that? Another death on the board? I wonder who that could have been. Look man, maybe a weak aura with a sound pack which tells you to move wouldn't be too bad. Anyways, we killed the boss, killed the last bit of percentage and two-chested our very first +10 of the series. I was so happy and I wanted to share my happiness with the group while thanking them for their effort. And then I just got absolutely trucked by this evoker. He was not having it, man. So he said what he said and then instantly left the party. So in my book, that's just some incredible insecurity for playing a free ride spec, since he can't perform on anything else. Never mind, he's a good player. Still a rude little wank that probably doesn't even get called by his own mother on his birthday. It happens, man. I'm sure it's not your fault. But I digress. As you can imagine, I was hyped after finally timing a key, even though I was the only one that died multiple times, so I was ready for more. Yet, in a kinda annoying turn of events, I was not ready. At all. Bro! No. Why am I so dumb, dude? Okay, that's it. I'm getting myself a weak aura that drop kicks me IRL when I have to dispel. Hey guys, it's Kusi. Let me welcome you to episode 8. In fact, the finale of our Rdruid 0 to Hero, in which I occasionally forget to equip my weapon after taking a thumbnail. While we ended our last episode with our first timed key in Mists, I also showed you multiple points where things didn't go as planned, up to a point where I even got insulted in Polish, which turned out to be a hilarious Google translation. But, believe it or not everything was my fault, as I continued to manage all dungeons on the +10 without breaking a sweat, which is absolutely recommended considering how long this series already goes on, and considering I'm 620 item level. But today is the day. Brace yourself, as I will show you every little tiny detail of either my mistakes or things that I got called out for, even though it was not on me at all. Be ready, as this final episode of our restoration experience will be a full-blown dungeon portal run. So, if that sounds like an episode you want to get excited for, cause this bitch is going to be exactly what I say when I try to talk about my pee-pee to the ladies, it's extra long. Then make sure to sit on the like button, while also gently brushing over the subscription, as it's the end of the year and it's the time of giving. Oh right, before I forget, this week we're gonna have a 12-hour birthday stream in which we're gonna do some community keys, play some party animals, and even start a new journey on a new character. So if you don't want to miss this, make sure to mark your calendar for Sunday, as we not only gonna celebrate me being squeezed out of my dad's nutsack all these years ago, but also the incredible year we had on this channel. You guys made this year pretty special to me, so there's nothing else for me on my wish list than hanging out with all of you. See you on Sunday. Alright, so after achieving our first portal and getting brutally roasted in Mists, our journey continues towards City of Threats. This is one of those dungeons where I found myself being a lot more relaxed on bosses I feared in the beginning, but a lot more afraid of bosses I thought were free. Second boss, for example, I always thought of being a normal boss fight, but turns out as a healer, this one is quite painful. Two specific phases here I need to deal with proper. First is, well, the first phase of course, since that's the part where the party randomly gets hit by short duration bleeds, which ultimately ends in a full-blown party dot from icicles. Everyone who has both debuffs ticking will take an unholy amount of damage, so we gotta make sure to dispel ourselves so we don't bite the dust. One thing to note here is, even though this is a slow, abilities that remove slow effects will not remove this debuff. Shapeshifting or freedom from a paladin ain't an option. Somebody told me that, I trusted, and I failed horribly. And so I did again. No hots on my ass, bagels taking a lot of damage at once. This was unpleasant. Maybe I got a bit unlucky here because I did convoke just before, which means having no hots on myself is a bit wonky to be fair. But long story short, we wouldn't have timed it anyways. I'll take a big responsibility for that, as more often than not I messed up and got clapped. But speaking of getting clapped, I got a funny one for you. You see, I got into the Stonevault +10 key in which the main characters are both Miok, a raging Polish warlock, and Jibby, a 630 item level 2.9k score prot paladin. We had no issues on trash whatsoever. But then the first boss comes along, and I bet you are giggling out of excitement for me to mess up the dispel. And yes, the dispel got messed up, but let's see what happened. You can see the magic effect on the tank, and now you don't. Did I dispel too early? Oh, I don't have cooldown. So that means that I didn't freaking dispel it. Tank instantly left the party disgusted by himself, and I got flamed, and even whispered.
Condom.
Brother called me a condom and I didn't even do anything wrong. Life is tough out here, man. But don't you worry, we got more. More Stonevault in fact, and this time it went pretty weird for a different reason. See, I didn't mess up the dispel once, which at this point I'm pretty proud of myself. Even though some raging wombats will say, oh easy, just dispel, what's the problem bro? Still, hashtag improvement. But yet my party ignored my pleading for not breaking all 3 pillars. I asked for 2 on the first beam, 2 on the second, and then 2 with the big stomp. That way it's so much easier to play, and especially as a druid, where you just don't have big cooldowns to spare,
it's super helpful. But yeah, got ignored. Some even died through the CURSED Spec as they got clipped twice by a laser. Yeah, that never happened to me. Be it as it may, the spirit was high and so we continued towards the double boss, which got quite heated. Firstly, our mage got heavily roasted, and I'm not even talking about the vents. And then our tank refused to kite the triple pack, which meant he got his fur kicked off of him. GG, go next. Well, at least 2 Stonewalls that weren't my fault, which means I was ready to call quits on Stonewall for now and rather apply to a key that just vigorously fucked me raw. Well, all of us. You see, in this Arakara key, the final boss is not the first boss.
You're joking.
It's the affix. Shattered Essence, which is the 10% per ball damage increase on 8 legs Lucy over here, railed us so good. I thought I was in the audition for Black. And similar to Black, this thing had no mercy because we often failed 5 or even more orbs at a time, which means the big AoE screech is more of a deafening tornado siren. First it was 60% damage, then 50, then another 50, and God forbid anyone is using a defensive for once in their life. Well, that was that. So this is the moment you've been waiting for. I ditched the old dungeon weak aura I had and got myself a new one. Recommended by the queen herself, so I wanted to test it out. So not only does this beauty now give me a timer on when I need to dispel, which is pretty much all I ever wanted from the beginning, it also softly whispers into my ear when I'm due to do the deeds. So I had to find out that having whispering weak auras alone won't cut it to time keys, as my stupidity weighs a lot more than any game assistance ever. You see, I did a Grimbatol, which started off funny for many reasons. First, I got declined for a longest time. Matter of fact, it's 2:18 AM in here. And I only got invited because they looked for a CR and because my name was funny. But that was supposed to be the comment that stick to us the most. Don't make me regret inviting you. Okay, so what happened? Well, this was not a clean run by all means. Body pulling before the second boss caused us to fully wipe, and while I was contemplating of maybe my trees pulling those, our monk blaming the shaman, which he said he wasn't, and our priest said, I don't know. Well, let's watch the replay. Aha! Yet messy was the name of the game, as we did our utmost best in order to mess up the second boss. Cone position was crazy, and abusing the LOS mechanic from the final boss of every dungeon, the stairs, didn't help either. But when we changed direction, even though we had the entire area in front of us, it got super funky. At this point I thought it's going to be a long ass run, not gonna lie. Yet I was proven wrong, as we ended up with over 8 minutes on the final boss, which meant that now is my time to shine. So I was prepping. Hots on everybody. Life Bloom on 2 targets, cause I knew I needed to lift 3 of those small area phases. But then the arguably dumbest thing happened. I stood outside, and I simply realized it too late. On the second pole I, once again, fucked up. Shocker. I had very little space to stand in, which I also understood way too late, which prompted me to die. Again. But this time, it was so sad because I legit had everything up. Not even arguing. Both of these wipes were on me, and I felt terrible. I legit was insulting myself with words that got me cancelled on every kid's birthday party, and I was fuming over my own stupidity. Yes, this run didn't go clean by all means, but ending up with 8 minutes on the final boss says, easy man, you got 2 chances. I took both of those chances and wiped my crack with it as we ended this on a solid depleter. If any of you guys are watching, flame me man. Stop being so nice, dude. I got called worse for way less.
Fucking condom.
Boy, did I go to bed defeated. And rightfully so. But man, did I have no time to be down, as the grind never stops. Welcome to Arakara, a dungeon that's similar to Grimbatol. I like to do dumb shit at the final boss in order to single-handedly break the key. And while we had a very smooth run, up until a total wipe on one of the later trash packs, we ended up on the final boss with once again 10 minutes to play. I wonder where I've seen that before. So far so good, because this went pretty fine. Until Tree of Life cucked me again. And then shit hit the fan, as I accidentally pulled the flying pad that was still taking turns during the fight. I got so annoyed, but I didn't really blame myself for adding those, cause I need to pay attention to so many things here as a healer, that the pad was not even on my radar for 1 damn second. Be it as it may, I got rewarded like a hooker laying on my back, 20 score, our second portal, but this still left a sour taste in my mouth, cause I can already tell there will be some of you that only play DPS that will say, bro got boosted. So I'm ready to reclaim any sort of self-esteem I had once while playing the Paladin, which means we're gonna do a difficult Pucky first. Alright, let's do the easy ones then. Dawnbreaker was supposed to be a moral booster because the party I found myself in was absolutely disgusting in all the best ways. What was funny however was that my chat was just going off about me getting boosted, even though they just saw me waste an hour into 3 keys getting absolutely dicked down. Why are you hating, man? Give me something for once. But at least I was able to test myself against the mighty overlap that I was also worried about. And just in good old Druid fashion, we lived that barely. Get it?
No.
But man, this party made me happy. 35 rating cause this ended up being a 3 chest. But wait, what is this? In the turn of events, this shaman who had 1.3k score did only get plus 4 rating for this key. Yeah, I don't know how to defend myself getting boosted anymore, man. Even this guy does plus 10 downbreakers on a daily basis, it seems. Well, I'll take it. Which means portal number 3 secured. So now haters will most likely say, oh, those are the easy ones. And you're probably right. However, you can deny my skill to play the game, because I do too. But not my determination to get shit done. As now, finally, I found the recipe to success. Applying for so many keys and fail so many times until you get the full big dick giga chat party that 3 chests carries your ass with ease. So, necrotic wank plus 10. And once we got through the first boss without any deaths, I was feeling it. After we got done with the second boss, I was ready to collect my next portal. And after getting bitch flash first try, this thing was all gone. So let's play a game called How long does Kusi need to figure out the tank dive before he uses a combat res? Oh. What's supposed to be there?
3, 2, 1. Root.
Why is he aggro? Why does he have aggro? Oh, the tank is dead.
Bruh.
Second try, I at least was prepared to potentially use a CR on the tank, but it wasn't required, and so we ended up getting our 4th portal from finally a dungeon that is more or less considered a difficult one when it comes to packing. Also, Keystone Hero, would you look at that? Unfortunately, because Case Age is a 1 per account meta achievement, it won't pop up on alts, but don't let that fool you, it's true. And before we go and check the vault, let's quickly mention that I did another plus 10 myth to fill out the 3rd vault slot for a myth item, which we timed. Yay, only showing you this to complete the portal run, even though we technically got the portal in the last episode. But, with that being said, we got the vault, stacked, locked and loaded, filled with potential goodies and preferably with a trinket. And boy, did I get a trinket.
What the hell is even that?
So I had the decision to make here. While this dog shit trinket is off the table, we are talking pants and belt. I do have 619 pants crafted with an embellishment, and since I didn't have gold to make any further adjustments or upgrades, I simply went with the belt since mine was 613. A reasonable decision that I didn't regret instantly. God bless. And having a vault to open also means that there's a reset.
You're joking.
Which means the Gotta Catch Them All edition of Salatat's Bargain is over and we finally got a good one again. But Kuthi, why is Whitebound the good one? I'm glad you asked. You see, not only is this ethics dealt with by killing a little mirror image of our Void Babe, it also grants us arguably the strongest buff of all of them 4. Since you don't need to collect 10 of a piece, this is a very simple you get it eventually kind of deal, and the buff will give us 20% straight burst, which is 20% more damage, more healing and 10% less damage taken, as well as a 30% cooldown recovery rate. This is so good, and while the punishment of not killing the ad fast enough is for surrounding mobs to take less damage, it is barely noticeable. Though now with the ball collector ethics out of the way, I instantly wanted to get a dungeon done that I felt like was super hard last week. Siege of Borealis. With the ball ethics, you lack the ability to actually soak all of them, as they like to randomly spawn the water during the final boss fight. With Voidbound, this ain't gonna happen, so I was ready to set sail. Get it? Cause yeah. And this went so good. Evoker got targeted and died, and then I got targeted and died, and then I got rest and died. Hashtag warm-up key?
Bye, have a great time.
So I went again, and this time the second boss became the party pooper. For once, not because of my ability to heal the dot, but because our tank got cooked as he tried to use the cannon. We had no CR, so let's do this again. Oh yeah, my bad bro, I didn't hot you up there. But speaking of not enough hots, let's quickly take a drive-by towards the other spider-infested place, as not having enough hots was the name of the game for me on the second boss. Multiple things here I learned throughout my struggles of healing this fight in the past. Use Convoke when icicles are coming, and prepare for the worst during Ryan Dagger's tank soak. And preferably dispel somebody with a double debuff, preferably myself. However, more question. What's ticking me down so much here? Surely it can't be just the bleed, as the damage tick interval seems like it's 2. A quick research later I found out that Dustbringer, which is this lovely purple circle here,
not only explodes in big pew pew, it also does quite annoying ticking damage. That makes a lot more sense now, does it? Second attempt, I was adapting and not giving any of my movements a chance to mess up things again, so the dream of timing this still lives on. Starting, whatever that thing is called, we had about 10 minutes, which is not much considering we also need to deal with the arguably toughest 2 trash mobs this game has to offer. And while I tried to be of use, collecting orbs and prepping for the dark pulse, our hunter learned that using a cooldown before the damage is incoming would have been more beneficial. But yeah, this warrior was something different, man. 1.4 mil on a single target without losing lust hits diffy. This big damage and the first time not dying to these trash mobs for me gave us a solid 3-minute pull on the last boss, with Bloodlust. So as long as I don't bite the dust, we got a good chance of ending this successfully. But this boss, man, it's a nightmare to play as a healer, as you got a solid amount of ticking damage paired with big ass damage chunks from either the stomp or the web, paired with the movement, paired with the dodging. Whew. Yeah, but HOTS are perfect to deal with dots. It would be, if the HOTS actually would do something. What's even worse is that I legit need to shapeshift into bear every time one of those mentioned big hits happen, as otherwise, it will just squash my nuts in the blink of an eye. Hashtag blessed. And with that, we ended up getting portal number 5. This means the missing dungeons for this series to end are Grim Butthole, Stone Vault, and Siege of Borealis. Huh, well that went uneventful. So the 2-chester, 4 deaths overall. Boy, is the last boss a joke if you have a warlock with you that uses Imp to dispel the affix. Crazy how easy that boss is. Unfortunately, obtaining the Grim Butthole portal was not as simple and smooth. It all started when our tank did a Demon Hunter classic. He jumped around and found out. And just to show that this kind of funny fails runs in the family, our actual hunter did this. But hey, we had time. No problem. From now on, this was a tensed up situation as we killed the Drake, managed the final boss on the first pull and then didn't get it done due to a lacking score. Shit's rough out here, man. But we gotta go again, and this time we had the worst start while ramping up 10 deaths before even the first boss. Usually this is a goner, and even people in my chat saying this seems to be a GG go next angle, but we pulled through. Well, besides me absolutely misjudging the insane amount of damage on the pulse. I mean, I did use a stacked wild growth and had another hot on me, but boy did I get ticked down quickly. Did not see this one coming, and I legit thought we killed too many ads for the damage increase, which was absolutely not the case at all. But we in Germany say, alle guten Dinge sind drei, which means all good things happen in threes. So we go again for the 3rd time in a row. This time with a DPS Druid that offered up the tank even though he didn't do it for a long time. Okay, cool. The good thing on this run, however, was even though this was not any more chill or smooth than the other runs, it's the situations we died in. No wiping to bosses means you save a lot of time, and we simply got cooked by some trash bags that had a respawn point next to them. Finally, we were able to time this key without me goofing at the final boss, and we got a fat item. Finally, something everyone is looking for. The damn ring that I already got with a socket. Unlucky. Well, we traded it away like a good girl, and now finally prepped for the last remaining key. In pure textbook storytelling, the last dungeon left was Stone Vault. The one that cooked me so many times. The one where I found out that I am my own worst enemy. And well, his enemy as well.
F***ing condom.
Even though, again, that was not my fault. The damn 3k score paladin dispelled him. Breathe. I'm over this. What I'm not over with are dumbass pulls in really unnecessary situations. We got no silences, and then we absolutely got blasted by the first pack. They even asked for a Bloodlust. Yes was the answer, and we just got rocked by the very first fear. No Bloodlust used either. This was already disturbing, but at least we continued, which is all I could ask for. So, you wanna see the first boss, eh?
Yes.
No problem. We went into the fight with 15 deaths, which is concerning, and came out with 16. 16! Mage died on a one-shot while not being even on my screen. It was so funny how we had such a hard time playing trash in here. Every boss was played so nicely, and we maybe had 2 deaths occurring during boss fights. Everything else was either dying to funky ass one-shot mechanics during trash, or due to overpulling, or because of the same damn issue that keeps provoking teenage pregnancies. We didn't pull out. So the tank left at the very last pack of the dungeon. Thanks for wasting like 40 minutes of everybody's, including your own time there, pal. But now that I've finally seen all of the boss fights again since forever, I was very confident in pulling up to the next party, which meant I relied on the most ancient techniques to quickly get invited. I begged, like a little bitch. Yeah, that's right, I begged for a daddy to step up and finally break this curse, which is actually what got me invited. How about that? I asked for only 2 spikes to be broken, which made this fight so much easier, even to a point where I didn't even need a weak aura timer for the dispel, as I had no panic situations whatsoever. Now here's the question for all of you augmentation degens out there. Do Aug provide reduced party damage on a regular basis? Because whenever we had 2 crystals break on Malphite, it didn't even hurt. This was also extra cool because the party just let me grab 2 stacks of healing increase without me having to snipe them. Never met them before, but I guessed most of them played healer at this expansion, at one time in their life for sure. With this team I also felt very calm on the double boss, up to the point where I happily ensured the range kick to be dealt with. Man, healing is so enjoyable when there's not much of the wonky stuff happening. Which is a weird segue, as this clean party, that only had slight mess ups, is ending the series with the key every healer is asking for. But not before I'm one of the muppets to die to the charge. Hashtag blame chat. Yet finally, after over 70 completed dungeons, 55 of them timed according to Raid.io, the arguably harshest and personal limit exploiting challenge has come to an end. It took me flipping 5 weeks to get this over with, so thank every one of you for this incredible support throughout the series. I know 5 weeks seems stupidly long for somebody that plays this game for as much as I do, but boy was this a struggle. I mean hell, over 70 dungeons, which doesn't include the abandoned ones, which we had quite a lot of, and yet we pulled through. If you don't consider the original goal of timing a +12 key that is. I will still try to complete a +12 on the Druid, and I will upload that run for you to enjoy as well. But for now, I say thank you for watching, and I wish for you to have the most fantastic day whenever you see this, while I'm already planning for the next series, so we all got something to enjoy over the upcoming holidays. So, with that being said, until I catch you in the next one, peace.